all I would say is that when we're talking about things like changing your pedagogical approach, it is a journey. It is a journey. It's more for some than for others, and it very much depends on your organizational culture and who's around you and what your experience is. But what I would say is that if we're putting the learner in the center, always thinking about what's best for them, I think we can all agree that giving them opportunities to take control of their own learning is always going to be the best thing. Because how do we learn? We don't learn from somebody giving us knowledge in a stream of consciousness that is kind of reading from a PowerPoint or whatever in a way that makes sense to them based on the way they've constructed that information. That's not how we learn best. I mean, how we learn best is through exploring it ourselves, through iterating, through play, through tinkering, through making mistakes and thinking, why did that happen? Through self-reflection, through collaboration, bouncing ideas off each other and coming up with this more robust understanding and seeing it from different angles as well. And we've got to be in the driving seat. And not only does that enrich the learning, but it also ensures that when we move beyond the boundaries of formal education and we're faced with these problems in our lives, we know how to solve them, or at least we know how to address them. And we can be adaptive and responsive and think critically and all of those kinds of skills that we need to have in the real world. So for educators thinking, how do I best support that? There will be a journey, and it's not a workshop. It's not, if you're going to take something like experiential learning into your learning environment or project-based learning or something like that, that's going to be an iterative process for you. It's not a one-off thing. It's not reading a book and trying it. It's not reading an article. It's not doing a one-day workshop. It's a process of change, and that's just part of it. But when you get to the other side of it, as I mentioned before, there is no substitute for this. I mean, it's the only way that the objectives of education for sustainable development are going to be in any way achievable. It's the only way that we can properly serve learners to go forward and have the skills that employers need, to have the skills that they need to be the best versions of themselves and function and thrive in the world, not just adapt and survive, but actually thrive. There is no other way. We need to be able to support that in the learning environment. That means really rethinking what we're doing and maybe saying that, yeah, things have got to change. The way we've always done it isn't necessarily the best way, and embrace it. Well, I think that one of the beautiful things about this approach to education is that it's a great leveler, is that there's no longer that kind of barrier where the sage on the stage is responsible for imparting the information and the learners have got to learn and things. This is much more of a sense of a shared journey. And I think in terms of mental health and well-being, an acknowledgement of that really helps, that we're on a journey of discovery together, and we're not always going to get it right. And there's a great humility and a great humanity in that, rather than, and I've been there as a teacher, that kind of not really wanting to say that you don't know, even though you don't. And that whole kind of, why don't you find out for your homework thing that we used to do. But it's actually embracing that we're in situations where it's new to all of us. And so there's that sense of being together in that. That's important. But I would also re-emphasize that, health and well-being is one of the Sustainable Development Goals. When you're embedding sustainability in your learning and your institutional approach, that's a core part of it. Health is, Maslow's hierarchy. If we're not healthy, we can't do any of the stuff we need to do. So we need to have learning environments where we can share, where we can feel included, where we can feel that it's okay to have an off day. It's okay to feel afraid of the future. It's okay to share that and to be a bit vulnerable. And again, that sense of a shared journey and learning together really, really helps. So I think that obviously there needs to be a more direct and specific focus on health and well-being, but you'll find that, like the rest of the sustainable development goals, even there's a knock-on effect to everything. If you're talking about reducing equity gaps and making things more inclusive, then well-being is helped by a sense of feeling like you belong. Sense of belonging is a very strong indicator of positive mental health. Physical well-being, if you're talking about reducing emissions, that means improving active travel, walking and cycling, and resourcing those properly and incentivizing them. So, part of sustainability really does boost physical and mental well-being in the institution. If it's done right, I mean, the thing that you can't really get away from, it's all positive. It's all positive change. It might be scary, it might be big, might be complex. It's going to be challenging, but it's all moving in the right direction to a situation where we're not only able to contribute more effectively, but to just feel better about our place in the world and feel more self-actualized. Again, coming back to how we feel about ourselves. So it's all positive.